About 9 o'clock. You should get one with all of them. Yeah, we put them down about 9. You should stay until about 6 o'clock, 6:30 in the morning. Yeah, I know.
Built like it was when I was 20.
I think a lot of people are.
No, that was a compliment he made us.
Got it.
Change out the Patriots a little
For
bit.
me that they're his kids.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the February 5th, 2018 Crest City Council meeting to order. If everyone would please rise for the pledge of allegiance to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Ray Solomon.
Here.
Glenn Conklin. Scott Dyke.
Here.
John Verche.
Here.
Barbara Scolaire.
Here.
Claudia Gazal.
Here.
Tina Oberlin.
Present.
Marco Coldipietro.
Here.
Nate Albert.
Here.
Tom Inman.
Okay, Megan Falera and Scott McMaster are excused for this evening's meeting. You have before you the minutes of the January 15, 2018 Crest City Council meeting. Motion would be in order.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Inman, seconded by Alderwoman Scolaire. In regards to the minutes, questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Scott Dyke.
Yes.
John Verche.
Yes.
Claudia Gazal.
Yes.
Tina Oberlin.
Yes.
Marco Coldipietro.
Yes.
Nate Albert.
Yes.
Tom Inman.
Yes.
Barbara Scolaire.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, moving on to the agenda items, our city administrator, Heather McGuire. Good evening, Heather.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm happy to be back this evening despite all the snow. I have no agenda items to report. The informational report is in your packet, and just for the public's knowledge, we will be holding a work session next Monday, February 12th. Current topics include the upgrade to the internet service, electronic consumer confidence reports, and then a liquor license on Knapp Drive. I'd be happy to answer any other questions at this time.
Heather, when we have that third go-around on the internet,
Yes.
we will have all this information in front of us this time about
Correct.
everything. So
Yes,
we
all
can-
the leases will be included, as well as a memo from our internet company, or I'm sorry, our IT company explaining why they made the recommendation they did.
Any other questions? Thanks, Heather. Moving on, Public Works Department, our Director of Public Works, Tony Torres. Good evening, Tony.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This evening, I have one item for your consideration, and that's the surplus of vehicles. The vehicles purchased in 2017 are now in service, and part of the vehicle replacement program. Below are the 11 vehicles that we would like to take to the auction. These vehicles go to the Mannheim auction. We belong to the Will County Governmental League as an agreement, and we are members of that. The proceeds for this auction are rolled back into the vehicle replacement fund. I'd be happy to answer any questions you would have.
Did these get offered to the public at all before they go to auction?
They do not.
Did you want a dump truck?
We did speak about this at the work session last week. Motion would be in order.
So moved as presented.
Second.
Motion by Alderwoman Oberlin, seconded by Alderman Dyke. Questions or comments in regards to the motion on the surplus of vehicles? Roll call, please.
Tom Inman.
Yes.
Nate Albert.
Yes.
Marco Coldipietro.
Yes.
Claudia Gazal.
Yes.
Barbara Scolaire.
Yes.
John Verche. Scott Dyke.
Yes.
Tina Oberlin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
And just a couple items as informational. Also in your packet is a memo on some unprocessed invoices from the previous administration that we need to pay out. And these are for the American Backyard. They did some fence work for some of our well sites, and those invoices are pending payment. The other item I had as informational is just to remind the drivers out there in our community that we do have snowplows out, and that a smart message did go out this early today informing residents of the no parking in the street during snow plowing. So please be aware of that and cooperate with us so that our snow fighting activities would go a lot smoother in this type of weather. The other item is that, again, as informational, We belong to the Lower Des Plaines, Lower DuPage River Coalition Group, and in order to reduce the amount of salt that we use for snow melt, we have some cups that are good measures as residents can use for spreading salt either on their driveways or in their sidewalks. A cup this size typically would take care of either a 20-foot driveway or about 10 squares of sidewalk. Okay, and the purpose for that is to reduce the amount of chlorides that enter our streams and rivers. So it's just a good measure to keep our surface water clean and free of pollutants. And the question was asked last week or the previous workshop if we were looking at the type of vendors that we use for gas products, compressed gas. We're working with two companies, one right now, and trying to get some pricing. We're working with WeldStar and Prax. And we already had a meeting with WeldStar, and we're hoping to hear something soon from Prax. And then hopefully consolidate the number of leases we have out there that we use for compressed gas services. And that's all I have for this evening.
Tony, that cup you showed us, is that the same even if, no matter which type of salt or chloride or chemical you're using, it's still the same amount?
Yes.
Okay. And then on these fencing invoices, I'm just curious, I mean, these are from 2015 that say paid. How did, I don't know, it baffles me. It's 2018.
Correct.
We're just now finding out we owed money,
Yes, we are.
and we're sure we owe it?
Yes. I did a extensive research. I met with the vendor. I looked through all of our invoices and our project schedules, and we matched everything up. It appears that the only things that were paid for were the gates for those locations and not the actual, the rest of the product. Now, there's still some product that the vendor still has on hand that we ordered, and these items are special order. So we owe money for all of that, unfortunately. The work's been done, the products have been installed, and some of that product is still outstanding.
Wow, I'm glad we hired you,
So
so you can catch all these things.
it was an effort with our staff. I mean, we had, like I said, we actually had a conversation with the vendor on some other items, and then once we started looking at the paperwork, he came back a few weeks later and said that when they were doing their books indicated that there were some outstanding payments, and then we looked at our books, and sure enough, we matched and compared the invoices and paid and non-paid, and this is what came out of it, so.
I think they need to get a better bookkeeper.
So did they send us invoices for the rest of the work or just for the gates?
Just for the gates.
Okay, any other questions of Tony? Thanks, Tony.
You're welcome.
Moving on, Community Development Department. Again, Scott McMaster's been excused for this meeting with the weather. I will tell you that he has his reports in your packet. One is for the January code enforcement, the other one is for the January permit fees report, and he will be back tomorrow if there are any questions of him. Police Department, our Police Chief Ed Clark. Good evening, Ed.
Evening, Mayor and Council. I have a couple items on the agenda this evening. First one is, we'll go with the no parking signs on Sweetbriar, per our discussion at last week's work session. And if you can look at the map, I'm proposing putting those signs on the, for a better lack of term, the south side of Sweetbriar and extending them to Plainfield Road. We're gonna see how that works to alleviate that congestion at that elbow and go from there. I am gonna maintain contact with a resident who is most concerned about it and see how it goes.
So move, Mayor.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Albert, seconded by Alderman Inman in regards to the no parking signs on Sweetbriar. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Marco Pietro.
Yes.
Tina Oberlin.
Yes.
Claudia Gazal.
Yes.
Barbara Scoler.
Yes.
John Verche.
Yes.
Scott Dyke.
Yes.
Tom Inman.
Yes.
Nate Albert.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. The second item is to have stop signs placed on Willow Circle Drive. Again, that was per our discussion on January 22nd at the work session, at the northeast corner or bend of that roadway. And that was per Alderman Scolaire, or Alderwoman Scolaire and Gazal, their conversations with Willow Falls and their concerns, and just kind of looking at the area and thinking that's a better place to put those.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Alderwoman Scolaire, seconded by Alderwoman Gazal for the placement of the stop sign on Willow Circle Drive. And again, this one and the one previously were discussed at last week's work session. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Tina Oberlin.
Yes.
Marco Pietro.
Yes.
Nate Albert.
Yes.
Tom Inman.
Yes.
Scott Dyke.
Yes.
John Verche.
Yes.
Barbara Scoler.
Yes.
Claudia Gazal.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Just to piggyback on Mr. Torres's comments tonight with the snow, just to make sure that we get our cars off the roadway. All the nearby towns and cities are doing the same thing. It just helps us clear that roadway. And we will be out, and unfortunately, if the vehicles are on the roadway, they will be cited. And that's all I have for this evening. The other thing I actually forgot is, we have, last week we had an issue with a solicitor that was going door to door. He was saying that he was working for the city or contracted with the city to test water. If any resident gets somebody who comes to the door and says those things, go ahead, shut the door, call the police. You can call a non-emergency number, 815-741-5111, or 911 if it warrants it. And that's all I have.
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on the snow plowing. You know, it's a difficult job, especially when it's snowing this hard to try and keep up. And, you know, we're asking for the residents' cooperation to move your cars off the street into a driveway, into a neighbor's driveway, into a parking lot, just until the plows can get the streets plowed from curb to curb, and then you can put them back. It's for your own safety. It's a lot easier for the drivers also, but, you know, we certainly want to make sure that the emergency vehicles can get through the streets. So we're just asking for your cooperation, and if not, there will be tickets issued, because after 2 inches of snow, the entire city becomes a snow route.
And I'm glad you mentioned that because I got a call from a resident from Renaissance that they were asked about that water thing. They were not on their door.
Oh, okay.
So she sent a
Okay.
message.
Do you want me to put out an email blast about that in Caroline Lakes?
That'd be wonderful.
I'll do it tomorrow morning.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Chief, if you could look into on Caton Farm Road, the signage there, when you turn off of Weber going eastbound, first there's a sign that says left lane must turn left, then there's a sign that shows how the roads, you know, the lanes are with a left turn lane and a straight, and then right after that, there's a no left turn sign. It's kind of like backwards, and the no left turn area sign is in the right location, because by that entrance where it's a right in or a right out of Menards,
Okay,
and then following that entrance, there's where the future light's gonna be, and I think the sign, you know, after the no left turn, should have the sign showing the lanes, and then left lane must turn left. It's opposite of what it should be.
Okay.
I noticed that the other day, if you could look into that,
yeah, I'll take a look at it.
because I've noticed people getting confused there.
It's Perrier, is there, isn't it the street, Perrier?
Yeah, apparently, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thanks, Ed.
Thank you.
Moving on to the mayor's report. You have an ordinance amending the code of ordinances for the city of Crest Hill regarding alcoholic beverages, allowing for the increase of Class A liquor licenses from 7 to 8. We have a new applicant for 2357 Plainfield Road for a Beer Belly Saloon, for a tavern at that location. Mr. John Orfanis is the applicant. He was supposed to be here tonight. I did not hear from him. I don't know if he's stuck with the traffic and the weather, but we did meet, myself and Police Chief and Deputy Liquor Commissioners on January 17th. Went through the process with him after he was fingerprinted and the background checks for what I will tolerate, what I will not tolerate. He was also at our February 29th work session for the meet and greet with the council, which also was part of our process. And this one is a creation of a new liquor license for a Class A, which is council's discretion to grant the liquor license. So a motion would be in order.
So moved. Second.
A motion by Alderman Inman, seconded by Alderman Albert. Questions or comments in regards to the motion? Roll call, please.
Scott Dyke?
Yes.
John Verche?
Yes.
Barbara Scoler?
Yes.
Claudia Gazal?
No.
Tina Oberlin?
No.
Marco Colapietro?
No.
Nate Albert?
Yes.
Tom Inman.
Yes.
Motion carries. Ordinance number is 1769.
Okay. That is the only agenda item under the mayor's report. You also have a report in your packet. And just a comment that I would like to make is that last Wednesday, I attended the DARE graduation at Richland Grade School, and on last Thursday, attended the DARE graduation at Cheney Manji School. I would like to say that I was very impressed by the students. They were very respectful, very polite at both schools. I also want to commend Officer Heidi Outlaw, who's been doing DARE graduations for 5 years now. She does a fantastic job with the young children. She has earned their respect, and I see the way that they interact. We are trying to, this city has been involved with DARE graduation at both schools for about 28 years. So we take that very seriously. I'm glad that the city council, we always budget for the expenses, but I think that it's a good program. It certainly lays the foundation for our younger students and the peer pressures and choices that they have to make going forward in their life as they become older and they become more difficult. So hats off to Officer Outlaw for the fantastic job that she does with the students. And again, both schools were well represented by a large group of parents at both schools, which is a great feeling also because it does show a lot of support for the students. That is it for the mayor. I will certainly try to answer any questions that anybody has. Moving on, city clerk's report. Our city clerk, Vicki Hackney.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have no items on the agenda this evening, but would be happy to answer any questions.
Questions of city clerk? Thanks, Vic.
Thank you, Mayor.
Treasurer's report. Our treasurer, Glenn Conklin. Good evening, Glenn.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I would like to report regular overtime payroll from January 8th, 2018 through January 21st, 2018, in the amount of $208,777.72. A comp time payout in the amount of $26,654.46. The only item I seek action on is ask for approval on our list of bills, which totals $245,867.94.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Dyke, seconded by Alderwoman Oberlin. Questions or comments to the motion on the list of bills? Roll call, please.
John Verche?
Yes.
Barbara Scoler?
Yes.
Claudia Gazal?
Yes.
Marco Colapietro?
Yes.
Nate Albert?
Yes.
Tom Inman?
Yes.
Tina Oberlin?
Yes.
Scott Dyke?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, everyone. If there aren't any questions, I'll say goodnight.
Any questions of city treasurer?
Yeah, Glenn, going back to these American backyard bills,
Yes.
is there any processes in the office that tracks the contracts we get into to see how much we pay versus what we?
Invoice.
You know what, if I have it correct, this is, we paid invoices submitted. We're never received past due bills, so in answer to your question, they don't send a bill, we're not inclined to send payment without it. Whether this was an oversight in between the two administrations, I don't know, but.
Well, I'm not just talking about this one, but all the contracts we enter into, especially like the road contract. We as a council, okay, a certain amount of money, how do we know that we're not paying over that, or or in this case, get underbilled for something.
By policy, you won't pay over that. You know, you know, when a contract is made, you guys make the decision on all the bills that get paid. That's, you know, one of your roles. As far as if you approve a $100,000 expense, it will not go over $100,000. This is evidently something approved by council, purchased by a previous Public Works Director, signed off on delivery. We did not get, you know, we did not receive invoices past dues for that number of years, so. So I don't know if I answered your question or not, Marco.
You did.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
Okay, thanks,
Have a good
Glenn.
night.
Thank you.
Unfinished business, we have nothing. Anybody? New business? Anybody? Committee liaison reports. Anybody? City council comments. These are positive city council comments. Anything you'd like to share with your constituents? We'll begin with Ward 1 tonight, Alderman Dyke.
Just wish everyone a happy Valentine's Day. Don't forget your sweetheart or significant other.
Alderman Verche.
Be very careful out there for this coming week. It's going to be bad for the whole week, so drive carefully.
Ward 2, Alderwoman Sclair.
I just wanted to let everyone know that the IRS scammers are out there. I even happened to get a phone call that stated that there were judgments out against me and I needed to call this number and give them all my information. Of course, I didn't return the phone call, but I just wanted everyone to be mindful that these calls are out there and just do not give any personal information to these people that are calling. They're scammers. And also be careful out there on the roads.
Alderwoman Gazal.
Just want to inform Ward 2 residents for Remington Lake, Renaissance Crossing, Arbor Glen, and Long Meadows that Alderwoman Sclair and myself and the chief will be holding our second annual, we're going to call it, meeting as an informational meeting for the residents. So it will be on February 27 at 6:30 here at City Hall. So we did this when Ed was a deputy, and it was one of his promises that we will continue working with the community. So we're doing it again this year. So we look forward for all the residents to come out and help answer your concerns and questions.
Ward 3, Alderwoman Oberlin.
Well, I would also like to wish all residents a very happy Valentine's Day. And I would like to, along with what Alderwoman Sclair said, I've seen an unusual amount of people in my line of work, working in a credit union, that have come in who have had similar experiences where they were either requested to cash a check and send portion back to the people, or, you know, one of them work at home and then we'll send you a check and then you send. It's never a good idea to send anyone you don't know money. And if you ever have any questions, it's always best to ask somebody who would know. And it's better to ask before you do it than after, because it's near impossible to get that money back. Am I right, Chief?
Yeah, it's a lot of countries overseas and things of that sort, so you're never going to see it.
So anything that looks too good to be true, I'm betting is. So be very cautious with your money.
Alderman Cola DiPietro.
I just want to caution everybody to drive according to the road conditions. See inordinate amount of people speeding, so just be careful out there.
Ward 4, Alderman Albert.
Well, it's never too early to think spring, so I can mark your calendars for the Lions Club Easter egg hunt. That'll be held on March 31st at noon at Richland School. So.
And Alderman Inman.
You're right, Alderman Albert. It is too early. Seriously, though, the drive over here was horrendous. I was telling these guys I was tailgated on Weber. It was a beautiful thing.
I'm sorry.
You really, you really have to be careful out there. It's really rough. And take your time. Don't be in a hurry. That might slow you down for a long period of time. So, and happy Valentine's Day. All you folks out there, we celebrate that 365, but that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, public comment. Anybody like to address city council? You need to step to the podium. State your name for the record. Address is optional. Let the record show no one has approached the podium. To our city administrators, is there a need for an executive session, Heather?
No, there is not, Mayor.
Motion to adjourn, Mayor.
Second.
We have a motion for an adjournment by Alderman Dyke, seconded by Alderman Verche. Questions or comments of the motion? Roll call, please.
Tom Inman.
Yes.
Nate Albert.
Yes.
Marco Colapietro.
Yes.
Tina Oberlin.
Yes.
Claudia Gazal.
Yes.
Barbara Scoler.
Yes.
John Verche. Scott Dyke.
Yes.
Okay,
Motion carries.
meeting is adjourned at 7:27 PM. Thank you and good evening, and please drive safely.